Hey guys, this is Cam, another King Tut Productions video. Today I'm going to talk to you about why Americans get deported from the Philippines. You decide to come here, maybe you get into a tiff with somebody, and then all of a sudden you're getting deported. So let's talk about some of the main reasons why. Number one is if you were a sex offender. The Philippines does not allow sex offenders to enter the country at all. Doesn't matter if it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. If you've been convicted of a sex crime, they actually have a law specifically stating that you are not allowed to come to the country. So if somehow you get in, then when you checked it, when you go to get your tourist visa extension and it pops up on the computer, they'll tell you that your passport is ready, and then they'll come, and then once you come to collect your passport with your new stamp on it, they'll arrest you and then deport you. Okay, that's number one. Number two big reason that Americans get deported is being rude. Respect is paramount in the Philippines. It's a very respect oriented culture, and Filipinos like to save face. Now, I think it's not I think it's a little bit exaggerated, how some of these expats, uh, I guess, package it like, oh, Filipinos have such thin skin, you say anything, you're going to get whacked. I don't know. I just think that's kind of like a little bit for shock value. In my experience, a lot of Filipinos are very, very forgiving. It just depends. But being rude to a government official is very, very bad. A lot of foreigners were actually turned away at the airport just for being rude to the customs officials, and that's actually the same in the United States. If you're not an American citizen and you go to the U.S. and you're rude, you get turned away. A visa is not a guaranteed entry. The best way I've heard it described is a visa just gives you the ability to even knock on the door, but it's up to the customs officials to decide whether or not you can go in. So I understand you've had a long flight, maybe it was delayed, long lines. Traveling can be very frustrating, but you cannot be rude to those people at the airport. All right. And another reason that they get deported, and this is quite frankly the silliest reason, is they fell behind on their tourist visa extensions. Look, the Philippines have some of the most lax visa policies I've ever seen of any country. I mean, you just basically show your passport and you can stay there for a long time. Now, you can get your visas renewed. I say indefinitely. I mean, it's 3 years, but I mean, you can just go and come back the same day and just keep getting your tourist visa extended. It's $60 every 2 months. If you can't afford $60 every 2 months, then you don't need to be living here in the Philippines. I'm sorry. I mean, you just don't. You just can't. And so they're really starting to crack down on that because most of those people that are behind on their extensions have other problems too. Like they tend to be troublemakers and beggars and indigents, and we have enough indigents here in the Philippines already, so we don't need Westerners adding to that number. Another reason is working without permission. This may not seem like a serious crime to you or me, but they consider it a very serious offense because one of the main culprits behind the big drug boom is unemployed males. So they don't want a Westerner coming there and taking a job that could go to a Filipino. There was an American in Bohol, and he was operating a resort, and he was deported for the crime of working. I mean, as Americans, it sounds ridiculous because we have legal aliens and they work and demand rights and everything, but the Philippines, it's not like that. Okay, next is being an undesirable alien in general. Just if you're always getting in tussles with people, getting in fights and arguments, having disputes, causing trouble, they can deport you for that. And it's kind of for good reason. What I'm trying to convey is they don't want troublemakers here in the Philippines. They have very lax visa policies, but then they also have very broad powers to deport you. There is somewhat of a due process, but not really. If you do get deport, I mean, if you are scheduled for deportation, you can request reconsideration. From what I've read, those things, most of those are denied. You pissed off the wrong person. I mean, if it's to that point, just leave. You can go to Thailand, Vietnam. I mean, there's all kinds of different places you can go. So that's one of the things. I mean, they do have. I mean, if you are facing deportation, you do need to contact an attorney to help you because it's very serious. An American actually died. I believe the name is pronounced Mark Cryer, and he died of tuberculosis in Bitokan, their little prison for people that are about to be deported. He had been there since I think it was 2013, a really long time, and he ended up passing away. So don't mess with these people. Just keep a low profile, and just you got to suck it up. That is one thing. If you're going to live in this country, you really need to learn how to suck it up. I mean, you're going to be cheated at some point. That's just the way it is. You're going to be charged more than you should. A girl is going to take advantage of you at some point. You need to be prepared for that. Just consider that as part of the cost of living. Suck it up, move on. I actually had an incident where I got into an argument in Oslo. I'd asked when I called the tour company and booked the price. We had agreed on a price. I asked them 3 times before I got there, "Is this the price?" And they said yes. Then they tried to charge me 50 pesos more, which is less than $1. But you get tired, and I said something. They canceled the tour. Then they got to keep half of the money, even though they didn't do the tour or anything like that. And they're the ones that canceled it. And I had put it on my blog, and apparently, and they're saying they tried to get me declared a persona non grata, which means unwelcome person. So, I mean, it was just a big deal over a very small amount of money. But it's just the way it is. Welcome to the Philippines. And I don't mean to sound like so negative and so bad and things. There's wonderful things that can happen if you're living here. But if you are getting deported, you do need a lawyer. Don't try and do it yourself, because it's not like the law in America where there's actually due process. There was a guy who was a Dutchman. He was deported in Cebu. He built a resort without a permit, and so they declared him a persona non grata, and they said he didn't respect the laws. Well, the expat community says what happened is he didn't pay the bribes. I mean, for him to spend all that money building the resort and then to just basically say yoink and kick him out is pretty bad. So I personally am not planning to do any sort of business here. I know a lot of people do. They get fooled by the cost of living, and a lot of times they get burned. But some people don't. So that's up to you. I would not recommend doing any sort of business or investing at all in the Philippines unless I've been here at least a year. And I really know and I really trust who I'm going to go to business with, because the way the law is set up here, you have to give 60% of the business to a Filipino, even if you're the one doing 100% of the work. So they have a lot of power and a lot of influence over you, and that's by design. So you can end up losing all of your money and they get the benefit. So I don't recommend it. I just don't. So that's those are the main reasons why Americans get deported from the Philippines. If you have any questions, go ahead and I'll put a link to this in the description below. It has all kinds of topics, from dating to living to safety and to deportation information in the Philippines. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video.